Welcome in this episode number 7 of the podcast IoT Decoded, the podcast about LP1 technologies. The LP1 are the low power wide area networks. In this episode, we are going to talk about different new modules that are available on the market. It's an episode where we're going to have a lot of small topics more than a big one. And I will have some word also about the really great TTVC conference, the virtual conference made by the Zesting network. And we are going to try to not talk a lot about COVID. I know that it's the main news, but we try to talk about something different, even if I will give you some word on this later. So I was talking about the new STM32WL chip in the last podcast episode, and I was saying that the chip is not yet really available currently and so on, and we're gonna have to wait a lot of time before getting it. But now it's available. Yes, I was being able to buy one this morning on Avnet website, so it exists. It's available. You can order some, and it's not expensive. We had a lot of questions about the price because it was supposed to be really low, and yes, it's quite low. I mean, we have a strong STM32 MCU plus a Semtech equivalent radio component on the die, and the cost in not big volume. It's 2,000 units. It's for the big one around €5, and for the small one around €3. So yeah, that's really not expensive. That's really interesting. The question I have now is to see what is the total cost of this. Is we need at least to have a TCXO and maybe some different component around. So the price is going to be a bit higher, and it's going to be interesting to compare this with the module price we have currently. But it seems really interesting. Maybe also because it's a really strong MCU inside the chip. So I've seen also that a dev kit is soon available. I saw the conference yesterday and the Zesting virtual conference showing the kit, and so now I want to have it. So please deliver free that kit for us to be able to buy it and make a try with it, because I'm really happy to have bought some of the chips, but that's a really small BGA component. So making a board to have a breakboard and solder it, I'm quite sure it's going to be a big mess. So I really would like to get a kit to simplify this. And maybe why not a module? If the circuitry around is a bit complex, it can be really easier for design on a small volume. So let's tune with that, but that's really good. In the Sigfox environment, we also have a new chip. This new chip it was a Wizol. Now they've changed their name, and it's a Xiangji. So Wizol was more easy to remember to say. So Xiangji module, and this module is one more Blue Energy stack plus S2LP Monarch module. So one more. I was waiting for that one. The main reason is that in terms of form factor is a bit smaller than the other. A bit different. So that's better for me, because the main issue I see with all the Monarch module I see on the market is that they are expensive. That's one issue, and the other one is they are really big. So if you have an IoT design that wants to be small and to fit a small box or thing like this, you cannot put something as big as we see on the market, and so that's quite limiting. For this reason, the Wizol was interesting to me as a form factor, soon smaller in my point of view. I can't give you a good feedback of this module because I just bought one on Yadom website 10 days ago, and I just get it yesterday. So it's on my desk, but it's still not open. But for sure, you will find a post with detail on the use of this module soon on www.disk91.com. So check this website. You will get more updates. I'm really a bit disappointed about the module market in the Sigfox area currently, because I see that currently we have a lot of new modules coming with Blue Energy and S2LP solutions supporting Monarch, and as I say, they are big, they are quite expensive, and maybe they are providing feature that is not needed in a lot of use cases. I mean, I really love the Monarch technology. It's something really interesting when you are doing asset tracker with no GPS stuff. Okay, but if you want to add Sigfox in something that is not moving out from a zone, it's just no interest. It's really good to have multi-zone support, because if you create a device, you want to be able to sell it in different zones, as that's something really mandatory today. But the Monarch feature itself, it's really addressing some specific use case, and we don't need for everything. And currently on the market, we have this big module with Monarch and all that stuff. They are big, expensive, and so on, and they are all the same design basically. So there's not, there are a lot of provider, but not a lot of choice at the end. And on the other end, we only have really pretty old module. These modules generally only cover one zone or sometimes two zones, and the solution are disappearing one after all. So I mean, we still have the on-semi design, which is really old now, with covering only one zone at a time. So it can be a Wizol solution or the on-semi SCIP. They are limited today. Microchip had a dual zone solution. They are stopping making it. So at the end, when you look at the Sigfox ecosystem for not expensive, small and multi-zone module, the only choice you have is to get a Semtech stack, which is a bit surprising. But when I was looking for choosing a module for my in-progress development, I think that the best choice I have is a Murata module that is able to cover Sigfox in all the zone and able to work also in LoRa1. And finally, it's not really expensive compared to Blue Energy Blue Energy S2LP solution. So in my point of view, it's a bit disappointing. I mean, I have nothing against having the ability to be on LoRaWAN and Sigfox. I mean, it's a plus. But honestly, I would prefer to have a module which costs 2 or 3 euro less and only supporting Sigfox when I want to make a Sigfox device. So I think there is something missing, and that's something I would like to share in this podcast episode, is that please, module creator, you should work on something that is smaller, that is less expensive, and that is able to support Sigfox multi-zone, but not necessarily with Monarch. I'm really waiting for the HT Micron solution, which is really smaller. It supports also Monarch. That's cool. Let's see what will be the price. But currently they have not yet delivered something available in production, so it's running a bit late. So let's see how this is going to be evolved. But in the Sigfox era, I'm a bit afraid that we had on one side a high-end product, expensive, big, and so on, and on the other side the ultra low cost, which is really limiting, and in the middle there's less and less things, and that's a bit frightening me today. So I'm finished by complaining about the module environment. Let's talk about something that was really, really, really good this week. It's the Zesting virtual conference. I really appreciated this event. I followed it yesterday. I had the chance to be in vacation yesterday, and so I've been able to follow all the conference, doing some hacking stuff in parallel. But that was really, really good, and I've seen a lot of really good content. So there was a lot of interesting topic about STM32WL, for example. Well, one was the older presentation made by ST on the last event, but the other one on the new kit was very interesting. The presentation that has been made also by Nicolas of the LR110, which is a really interesting Semtech new device with SDR including, allowing to listen for satellite, listen for Wi-Fi, MAC, and so on for asset tracking. It's also a really interesting solution. It's a hardware sold with the services, something I don't really like, but yeah, in terms of technology, that's really cool and really powerful. So something to follow also. And I've seen really nice content, like I think I really spent a good time listening from Fabien Ferrero about antenna tuning. It was a really great presentation. If you are doing antenna design or IoT and you want to understand the antenna stuff around, that was really good talk. Also seen a really good talk from Jose Marcelino about the LoRa solar gateway. It's a topic I was really interested in, as I'm hacking some really low-cost solar-powered gateway for LoRa. So it was good to have someone who is doing a professional version, industrial version of this kind of solution could tell, and there's a lot of things to learn by listening him. And so I've seen so many conferences. The one also, I think, on microchip and the secure element, it was also really interesting. I mean, secure element, I'm not a fan of this kind of solution, but it's sometimes really interesting. And the problem is that this kind of solution is usually really complex to put in place. You have to be a big industrial with 100,000 of device to make and so on to interest this kind of ecosystem. But microchip is addressing a solution you can start to deploy with only 10 units. So even hackers that want to play with a secure element and understand how it works, you can do it with a microchip solution, which is something really good. And there was a really good workshop with all the detail on how to implement this. So was cool. Was a really cool event. So thank you guys from Zesting Network and Zesting Industry to organize this event. I think it's a good example of things we can do even if we are at home and we have to stay at home. A really good opportunity to learn. And what I really like with this virtual events is that more than the event itself, it's all the content that has been produced by all the different speakers, and that is now available on YouTube and publicly available. And so you can see that, but also all the new people that are entering the IoT domain in the coming years or coming months will be able to learn from all this conference, and that's cool. I really love this spirit of openness and sharing. So as the other information on Sigfox, Ludovic Lemore has published his book. It's a 0G, so good title. I can't tell you currently a lot about the book because it's like the Xinjiang module. It's on my desk, but I've only read 2 pages. I'm really out of time currently. So I will read it and I will give you some comment. But if you want to see what is the ID that Ludo have for IoT in the future and how the DOG can change the world, you should read that book. Okay. Still on Sigfox news, Russia is now open. So it's now we have 70 countries covered by Sigfox, which is really, really great. And I think the value of the 0Z is basically related to the number of the percentage of territories that are covered. And so every new country is making all the ecosystem growing and getting more and more value. So it's really cool. And Russia is a really big country. So it makes sense in terms of long range, low power, I think, and it's also something really important in terms of worldwide coverage. So that's cool. So great news on that side. And another news, and I'm really proud to give that news, is that the ultra low cost device that has been introduced by Sigfox in the last year event, so at the end of the year, was published for working in Europe, and I've been able to make it working from North America, so on 915 megahertz, but also at a higher speed, which is 600 bits per second. And so it means that this ultra low power solution, ultra low cost solution, and the ultra low cost means a full device around $1. A full device, not the price of the component, but the price of the device out of the factory. Okay, so that device can be around $1, and this design works in Europe, Africa, and all the HC zone, but also on the FCC zone. So that's really promising in terms of things we can do. And finally, the only area where it should not work is the country where we need to have listen before talk communication, because the ultra low cost device do not support reception. So we can tweak that by adding extra component, but the price will be also higher. So with the current design, that's the only limitation we have currently. So great news. I'm happy to share that with you, and I'm happy to have seen working as I made that design. To conclude, some word about COVID, because I think we need that. No, some word about COVID, because I've seen that the IoT ecosystem is something really interesting in that kinds of situation, in a kind of pandemic, as it's the IoT solution are a good way to get a lot of data from everywhere. A global network is also a way to get all this data coming from everywhere and to put them all together, to be able to have a kind of satellite view of what is happening. So that's something where we can really innovate. We have seen a lot of examples which are more local actions that have been deployed with the IoT solution. Like I've seen a push button that has been produced and deployed in a really short term to hospital to help them in putting in contact the person in the hospital with the doctors and so on. We also have seen asset tracking used to secure, to follow all the different equipment needed for this pandemic management. But there is a lot of things to do. I've proposed an idea on my website. You can check that about monitoring temperature globally, and thanks to this, being able to watch where the illness is and where and how it moves, to eventually detect a small signal or making here on that stuff and so on. So there is some interesting things to do for really low cost. That's what is really interesting, is that there is data we cannot capture today, and thanks to the 0G technology, with less than $1, we can add the capability of a sensor to communicate and to report information. And even if each of the information has not a big value, if we can deploy that to a massive environment, to a lot of different place, people and so on, this information at this scale can be really valuable to anticipate, to fight against a virus like that one. So that's promising for the coming days, coming weeks, coming months, about the development of IoT, in my point of view, to anticipate and manage the next crisis. And we also see that because there is a lot of contest around creating solution for the future or for that pandemic. And I think about one of the contexts, which is a Hackster contest. You can also join it through Arduino Create, I think, and so that's a contest to develop solution to fight against the pandemic or to prevent it or to help when the confinement will end it and so on. So take a look to that if you have some time and want to hack something that's interesting, to propose an idea or to join an existing ID. We're at the end of this episode. I hope that you had a good time at home listening to me. I really hope that for the next episode we're gonna be free to go outside, and until that time, it's really important, stay home and hack a lot.